Welcome back to the Classy Career Goal podcast. Today I'm joined by Jen Kornoely. She is the founder of She Reads, She Leads book club. After leaving corporate and building her own real estate photography business, Jen discovered firsthand the power of personal development, business, and mindset books to grow both confidence and skills. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about why women should be reading business and finance books. This is the topic right up my alley. How to find a community also that helps you grow, making time for reading, and just also I'm going to ask her some of her favorite book recommendations as well. Maybe I'll get some new ones for my bookshelf as well. So let's dive in. Welcome, Jen. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me. This is so fun.
Yeah, I'm excited about this topic. Like I was telling you before that, Ham, this is like a different topic than I've seen. And so when it came across and I saw your topic and what we were going to talk about, I'm like, yes, let's talk about books. We don't have an episode where we talk about books, so let's do that. We'll have our own like mini book club on this
There you go.
episode. So first, tell us like your background. Tell us. I know you were working corporate and like kind of changing your career. So tell us about the beginning and where this all started.
Yeah. So I was working, a corporate job, sitting in a cubicle, just clicky clacking on my keyboard all day long. And it was fine. It paid really well, which is kind of the only reason I did it. But then I very unexpectedly lost my job. I reported to a man who didn't like me. He didn't like women. So especially a mouthy woman with an opinion, he didn't like me. So um, I wasn't doing poorly at my job. I was meeting all my goals, exceeding all the metrics, but because someone didn't like me, I lost my job. So it was really a wake-up call that your income can be at the whim of anybody for any reason. And whether they don't like you, whether there's a global pandemic and there's just mass layoffs, when you work a corporate job, that's not the safe route anymore. It used to be that, oh, get the safe paycheck. But now it's like, you have no idea when someone can just say, nope, I'm going to yank that $100,000 out from under you. And now you got to go fend for yourself. So it kind of forced me to realize that I need to develop a skill set and a client base and all this to make my own money and not let anybody else control it. So I started doing real estate photography, which I was living in Southern California at the time, is a year-round market and it's always gorgeous when you live near the beach. So it was a really great opportunity to make good money, work on a schedule that worked for me and my daughter. And I really wished I had known more to be able to make it into something really great. But I didn't know anything. I knew how to take great pictures, but I didn't know how to make a business plan or how to network or how to pay taxes or how to pay myself. Like I just knew nothing. I was showing up to a house with a camera and that was it. So it was kind of eye-opening to realize it could have been so much better. And then, I'm just in these empty houses all the time by myself, not really collaborating with anybody or, bouncing ideas off anyone. And it was lonely. And so that kind of was the perfect storm to start listening to audiobooks, especially nonfiction like business and personal finance and things like that. Because there anyways. I might as well be learning and growing and improving. And while it's not someone to talk to, it's at least a voice in my head that's, not the chaotic voices. So it just kind of became a perfect storm of growing. But then I kind of realized I was missing the other component of talking to people about it. And that's sort of how the evolution of the book club came about. It was all these little steps that had to happen before, the baby could be born.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of like kind of creating, you can kind of create your own degree program even, or like, put together your own kind of like weekly, I put together curriculum for our kids because I homeschool, but like I put together one for me too of like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to finish, if my kids are reading books, like I should be reading books and, learning myself as well too. So I love, like, how would you recommend like, picking out what book to read and like, or where to find an audiobook or all of that stuff? Like, I think that's kind of the first step.
Yeah. For me, I wanted to start with what do I know absolutely nothing about, but is going to have the biggest return? And for me, it was personal finance. I grew up where conversations about money did not happen at home. And so I grew up very in the dark about money being a tool and how to make it work for you and how to leverage it. I knew nothing. And I realized being old and poor in the US is a horrible thing to be. And I don't want that to be me. So I need to start learning now.
Mm.
So I started with personal finance books. And I figured that's kind of the building block to grow off of because you need to have a general sense of personal finance and how it works before you can start putting together your business finances and start learning how to invest and avoid taxes and all those other things. You have to have a general base knowledge of how money works. So that's where I started. And then I just kind of started branching off into what do I know nothing about? And then let's find books about that.
And where everyone else also asks, like, where do you find the time to read? And you mentioned audiobooks, and I'm with you.
Hmm.
Like, audiobooks are that way we can get through books without, I don't, it's hard to find. I have 3 kids, so it's hard to find the time to sit
Yeah.
down and read. I get through like a page, and then someone says, Mom, I need you. So is that what you're doing too, the audiobooks?
Mostly, yeah. I being in empty houses and being in my car so much, I have the luxury of having the time to listen to the books. I'm not being distracted by toddlers or needing to do tasks that require my full attention. So, audiobooks all day long. When it's a book that I know is going to have a lot of really great nuggets of wisdom, I get the hard copy also, and I listen to the audiobook while following along and then I can underline all the great passages that I want to come back to. And it just helps it sink in a little bit better when you're absorbing it in both ways.
Yes, definitely. I do that. I do the same too. Like if it's one I'm just gonna enjoy and listen to, I can,
Hmm.
but if it's like I want to take notes or have a notebook or something like that, I have to have the physical, see the
Yeah.
words.
Yeah.
And what you talk about the learning period pyramid, you said a lot. So what is that and how does that I want to go into the your ma the did you join a mastermind or how that kind of affected your reading books as well too?
So the learning pyramid is, and I forget for the life of me the university that did the research, but it's essentially if you picture, a pyramid, it's wide on the bottom, it's narrow at the top. And at the top, you have 10%. That's what you're retaining when you take information in through one sense, whether you're reading a book, listening to an audiobook, going to a lecture, whatever it is. When you're just taking information in through one audiovisual sense, you're only retaining about 10% of that information. As soon as you start adding in other layers to it, you start retaining more information. So if you are reading and listening to a book, you're going to retain closer to 20%. If you are talking about it afterwards with other people who've also read the book, you're going to start retaining about 50%. As soon as you start implementing it, you're going to retain about 70 to 80%.
Wow.
And then as soon as you start teaching others what you've read, you're going to start retaining about 90% of that information.
Wow.
So it's really important that after you're reading these books that, I mean, let's face it, these are not the most leisurely entertaining books, but if you want to retain all those golden nuggets that are in there, you have to be talking about it with other people. Otherwise, it just kind of goes in and flies right out again.
Exactly. And that's, I guess that's where a book club comes into play too, because I've been part of book clubs as well. Never a business book club, which is why I'm like, I think you're onto
Yeah.
something. This is good. I've been, fiction, friends, novels, all that. And
Yeah.
now even with the kids, we're reading Anne of Green Gables, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I'm reading. So it's kind of like our own mini book club in our family. But yeah, that's so good to be able to talk and teach others as well.
And we all have different experiences or at different places in our careers or with our financial literacy. So, in one area, someone can be very much a mentor, and in another area, a mentee. So, it allows for a lot of different layers of conversation and having people in different genres. Like the creative person is going to take something very different than the analytical or the medical person. But having those conversations of this is what I took from it and this is how I'm applying. And the other person might just be like, oh, I hadn't thought about it that way. It just you gain so much more perspective too, rather than just your own, narrow, I have my blinders on because this is my life right in front of me.
Exactly. And you mentioned you had spent years joining masterminds too. Like, how would you say masterminds relate to just, hey, like, I'm gonna just pick up a book and learn something? Like, I'm curious because I've been part of masterminds too, and I'm curious your experience.
I've been a part of a lot of different types of masterminds, some that have been more for like the photography side of it, like this is how I'm marketing my business. And it's really great because you have somebody who's also in the thick of it and can understand what you're going through. And they're maybe just a little bit ahead of you in their career and you can kind of learn from their mistakes. I've been in other masterminds where it's other entrepreneurs just talking about being entrepreneurs. And it's kind of that's where I wanted to develop the book club model because we're all entrepreneurs, we're not competing with each other, but it's important that we learn from each other and have these conversations because there is enough business that we don't need to compete. We can all collaborate. So what I really love about the masterminds is the conversation part of it and the focus on learning and improving.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. And it's the connecting to it. We almost need like a group that's like connecting and community, but then also talking about books as well. And I don't know if like sometimes you worry that other people aren't gonna like read it too, or they're gonna
Yeah.
start it, and then you're the one that actually like continues and finishes it, and no one else does. So
And we've
how are
had that.
you? Yeah, how are you like? How is the accountability? Like, how do you recommend starting something?
Well, we definitely have had times where it's like, a few people maybe haven't gotten through the book or even started it because life happens,
Yeah.
but the gold is in the conversation. And even if you haven't read through all 300 pages, you have the gist of what it's about. And still having those conversations is so important because I think we're not having those conversations as it is because we're all so busy in our little bubbles of what we're doing. We're not focusing on how can we come together and be a community and uplift? And it's really amazing because when women come together, we do amazing things.
Mhm.
And women thrive in community. And there's been even a lot of research studies that say that that is the biggest predictor of your health and happiness as you age is your feeling of belonging in community.
Yes, definitely. So let's get into your book suggestions, your recommendations, your tried and true
Yeah.
books. What is on your list?
I always suggest people start with personal finance. And there's three that I really love because they are written by women, specifically millennial women, which is great because it gives a very fresh and young perspective that even if you are Gen X or even a boomer, you can still glean a lot of really great insight. And they are The Financial Feminist by Tori Dunlap, Rich AF by Vivian Tu, and Get Good with Money by Tiffany Aliche. They offer a lot of really different perspectives. Financial Feminist talks a lot about the fact that there are, I guess, gender differences when it comes to money and the conversations that exist around money, and being aware of that is really important because men and women are taught different things. They receive different messaging when it comes down to money. And Rich AF talks a lot about starting to get into the wealth building side of it. She has a background in Wall Street. So she starts to talk a lot about how to leverage your personal finance and start moving it towards investing. And then Get Good with Money, she talks a lot about budgeting and tracking your spending so that you are not being restricted, but instead making sure that you're spending money intentionally on the things that truly matter and not just on the crap that's not really important to your life. So
I love
those are the
that.
three books I think every woman should start with. Yes.
Yeah, I love that you start with personal finance too. I mean, that's definitely when I think of even before I had my business, those were the books I was reading, right? Because you have to
Uh-huh.
take care of yourself before you can start even like serving other clients and everything too.
Exactly. And I think that so many people, especially women, are just, we are not having those conversations from a young age and taught it's taboo. Don't talk about money. I think the very opposite. We need to be talking about it. We need to be open and honest and having conversations. And it can be hard to do because it's embarrassing or, you know, you just kind of have that mindset of, oh no, this is gauche. Let's not talk about dollar amounts. Absolutely not. I've gained the most knowledge when I've opened up and been vulnerable and have had other more successful women come back and say, "Oh, absolutely not. They're lowballing you or negotiate like
Hmm.
this." And
Oh
it makes
yeah.
all the difference in the world.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like how you grow up definitely impacts you too. And realizing you're doing similar things as well as like, like your parents and when you watched grow up as well. Okay, so any other recommendations that you want to share of books?
Oh, I have lots. And in
I'm
fact, I
sure.
have on the website a downloadable guide, and it's read these three books first, and it's the best three books in my opinion, across six different categories. So it's 18 different books: personal finance, how to start a business, building wealth, connecting and networking, productivity and outsourcing, and then mindset and boundaries. So I think it's really important that we have kind of this sprinkle of a lot of different topics to be able to just be a more well-rounded person within our businesses.
Definitely. And I mean, on this topic too, I got my MBA, but I learned so much more from like doing in my,
Yes.
creating my own business and then just reading books about business after my MBA as well too. So you're 100% right. Like you can create if you read all the books on your list, I bet you'd give yourself your own little MBA, real life MBA, and you'd be like off and running.
I don't know if LinkedIn would like that if I put MBA after my name, but I'm very tempted.
Yeah, I mean, you've kind of given yourself your own little miniature MBA. I heard that tip one time of like go to like if you want some sort of degree, go look at the books that they're reading and like the syllabus
hmm
at like a degree program and just like read the books on your own, Like there you go.
Yeah. I think like and with an MBA, like I've been contemplating, do I want to? But it's like I just want to be able to put those letters after my name and I want the access that an MBA it does open doors having one, but the knowledge, literally a library card can save you
Yeah.
$30,000.
Yes. And I will tell you, yeah, it's real life. Like the things I learned in my MBA program weren't things that I like could use when I started my business. I
Yeah.
kind of had to like figure things out on my own, like blogging, Facebook ads, like all this stuff I did in the beginning,
Yeah.
webinars. And none of that I learned in my MBA program. I had to learn it all myself. Podcasting. There wasn't a course on podcasting,
I
giving
wonder if
interviews.
those I wonder if those programs will start to evolve now that things like podcasting are very normal for
Yeah.
businesses to do and AI is so prevalent. I wonder how those programs will start to evolve to incorporate them.
Yeah. Or create your own.
There
Yeah,
you
it's
go.
interesting. I think you're totally onto something. Like make a list. So for everyone listening, like make a list of the things you want to learn about, the things you want to do. If you want to start a
Yeah.
podcast, create your degree program on podcasting 101 and you can do that for sure. So what was your website then if they want to get the list?
It's shereadsseleads.com.
I love
And
that.
I think like having a book club, it introduces you to topics that maybe you didn't know you needed. Like I didn't know I needed to read a book on productivity and outsourcing. Like I was thinking, oh, I'm a type A Virgo eldest daughter. I'm incredibly organized. I love a good spreadsheet, but it just opened my eyes up to like I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
So when you are kind of told, read this book in particular, oh, I never would have thought about that. I never would have learned this topic. I didn't know I needed to know it.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes I've listened to like the audio and then I'll reread it physical too and like underline it like we were talking about too. So
Yeah.
if it is something that like draws your attention, you're like, oh, that was really good, then you can get the physical book too as well, or go to the library as well. All these are probably at the library too.
Yeah. I am a big fan of the Libby app,
Yeah.
which, if anyone doesn't know, through your library card is an app that gives you access to free books and audiobooks. And if, like, I live in kind of a small town outside of Boise, and so our library is very small, but you can get library cards for other cities. So I have the Boise library. I have some random library from Texas because they were giving one to anybody. When I go to Minneapolis this summer, I will be getting a library card in Minneapolis. You know, you go and you pay a little fee. And so it's such a great way to get free or cheap resources.
And Hoopla. I use Hoopla as my
Yes,
library
yes.
card. Yeah, they're different. You'll explore them both. You'll have a favorite. I love that. Okay, so are you ready for our lightning round of
Oh, yes,
questions? Okay, one of
definitely.
them one of them is about books, so we will get there. All right, what season of life are you currently in right now?
Ooh, I am in my very intentional and picky season. So I'm going out of my way to be intentional with where I give my time, where I give my money, what I want to spend my energy on. Life is too short to do stupid or unimportant things.
Yes, your time is precious for sure.
Yeah.
What does meaningful work mean to you right now?
Feeling better about myself when I do it. I don't want to do work just for doing work's sake. I want to actually contribute or make the world a better place, even if it's a small amount, you know? So, yeah.
Yep. And that's why when you think of doing your personal finance too, when you can figure that out, then it gives you more to be able to help other people and
Oh, for
contribute
sure.
too. What is one thing motherhood or real life has taught you about success?
To be less selfish.
What's
Yeah.
one, do you want to expand?
Oh,
Or is it we all understand? That's why I'm like nodding.
yeah. 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 I think just being willing to give before you expect.
What is one rhythm or routine helping you most lately?
Saying no.
You have like some really good, just like one words, and we're all like, yep, we need to do that.
I figure everything exists on my Google Calendar, and in order to get a space on that calendar, it has to be valuable, in whatever way valuable it means. If not, I would rather, putz around in the garden and pull weeds and enjoy my space and my time.
What is something you're simplifying in this season?
Ooh, that I think that kind of goes along the same lines of just being choosy and trying to be less busy and just be more in the moment.
Coffee shop work day or working from home?
Oh, I love both. I like working from home because I can do a little bit of work and then I can go hang out in the garden or take the dogs for a walk or even throw in a load of laundry. I love being at home, but I also love like the energy of a coffee shop. So it's definitely both. I love, but when I go to a coffee shop, I don't actually work. I open my laptop and I open up whatever programs. And then I ended up eavesdropping on the
Oh
conversations
no.
next to me. I want to hear all the tea of what's happening over there. So very little work gets done at the coffee shop.
Distracting. Okay.
Yes,
I suppose it depends on what coffee shop you go to. You might get
yes,
more tea at certain coffee shops.
for sure.
What book are you currently reading?
I'm reading several. Of course, we're reading our book club book, which we have our Zoom on Tuesday night, which is The Plan, and it's a time management book. So, but it's written by a woman for women, which I think is a really huge consideration because women are expected to do different things with their time most of the time than men are. So, I think having something from a woman's perspective is incredibly important. And then I'm also reading a cutesy little fantasy book. So the Far Away, and I just started it last night. So we'll see.
I think you're saying something though is like you can have multiple books going at the same time.
Oh
I'm the
yeah,
same way too. And like sometimes
yeah.
you feel like reading the business leadership book and then sometimes you're like my brain can't handle that, so you can go to the other types of books too. So don't feel like you need to only have one book. You can have and I feel like that's how I get through more books as well too.
Oh,
Is
a
I kind of
thousand
have
percent.
I have an audiobook going for when I go for
Yep.
a walk. I have one on my bedside table, one by the kitchen table, like all the places so I can grab something if I have a
Oh, for
free
sure.
few minutes.
Like I don't want to read business right before I go to bed. That's when I'm
Mm-mm.
gonna read my cutesy little romance and magical books, something that's gonna kind of set me up for a good night's sleep. I'm gonna
Yeah.
be reading my business books in the morning when I wake up and I'm ready to go and I'm running on coffee.
Yes,
You got to
same
match the
thing.
books to your vibes.
What's bringing you joy lately?
Spending time with my family and being intentionally slow with my day.
Last question. What's one encouragement you would give a busy mom listening today?
Oh my God, so much. That you are not alone and there is a community of women out there waiting for you and they are willing to help support and uplift you. And if you don't have a community, You just have to do a little bit of searching. They are there, and community will make all the difference in every aspect of your life.
Hmm. And it could be virtual too, or like do virtual
Absolutely.
and in person. Probably you want to have a little bit of both. But yeah, if you can't find them in person, because sometimes that is hard, they're online. There's people there for you
A thousand
virtually.
percent. I've met my best girlfriends, believe it or not, through LinkedIn,
Mm.
because I'm trying to be very intentional with my friendships because I want to be friends with smart women who want to have good conversations. So I look on LinkedIn and I'm like, oh, we have 50 people in common. She looks interesting. She runs a cool business. I'd love to get to know more about her. And I have no shame about sending a DM and be like, I love what you're doing. I love that outfit you have in your profile picture. You want to have a Zoom and just get to know each other. And those have turned into the most authentic friendships as opposed to still trying to hang on to a relationship from high school that just isn't giving you all the fulfillment. So there is absolutely community online and genuine friendships online.
Now you guys all know my secret of why I do these podcast interviews. Like you think I'm doing them for the listeners, but really no, it's for me so I can get to know more amazing women as well too. That's it in a nutshell. So now you all know. I love it. So where can people find out more about you? I think you mentioned your website. Is there any other, like
Yep.
you mentioned LinkedIn, or is there any place online that we can find you?
I am all over LinkedIn and Facebook, both the book club website, shereads.com, but also my personal site, which is Jen Kornoely. And yeah, the website, there's a lot of great resources on recommended books and books we've read. And in the Facebook group, it's a open book club group, so everyone's welcome to join and talk about all the books and ask all the questions.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, this was so fun to talk about books. We'll have to have this as like a common theme of the podcast. Do
I
more
love it.
book. So if you're listening, anyone who's listening, let me know what you thought talking about books. If you want to hear about more books, I have more book podcasts, let me know. Because this really is, I think, one of the first episodes where we've talked about books, but I love it. So thank you for being our first book episode, and hopefully there will be more. Thanks for being here, Jen.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.